My name is Steven, and I live in a cozy little house in a quiet suburb of Chicago. It's the kind of place where kids ride bikes down the street, neighbors wave hello, and the biggest worry is whether the lawn needs mowing. I'd always dreamed of owning a home, and when I finally saved enough to buy this place 2 years ago, it felt like I'd made it. But owning a home comes with responsibilities, and one of the first things I did was get home insurance. Everyone told me it was a must protection for my biggest investment. The insurance company promised peace of mind, safety, and security. What I got instead was a headache that turned my dream home into a source of stress. Let me take you back to how it all started. I'm a single dad, 34 years old, with a 7-year-old daughter named Lily. I work as a graphic designer, mostly from home, which gives me flexibility but doesn't exactly make me rich. When I bought my house, it was a fixer-upper, but I loved it. It had character creaky wooden floors, a big bay window in the living room, and a small backyard where Lily could play. The realtor warned me about the costs of homeownership, so I did my research. Home insurance was non-negotiable. Fires, floods, storms, bad things happen, and I didn't want to lose everything. So I shopped around, looking for a policy that fit my budget and covered the basics. I ended up with a company called Safe Haven Insurance. Their ads were everywhere on TV, online, even on the radio during my morning commute. They had smiling families in their commercials, talking about how Safe Haven had their back when disaster struck. Their website was sleek, with bold promises like complete protection for your home and hassle-free claims. The agent I spoke to, a friendly guy named Mike, made it sound so easy. He walked me through the policy, explaining how it covered fire, theft, storm damage, and even some plumbing issues. The premium was $1,200 a year, which felt steep but doable. I signed up, paid my first premium, and felt like I'd checked off a big adult responsibility. My home was safe. Or so I thought. Fast forward to last summer. It was July, and Chicago was in the middle of a heat wave. Lily and I were spending most of our time indoors with the air conditioning cranked up. One night, I heard a strange gurgling sound coming from the basement. I brushed it off at first. Old houses make weird noises, right? But the next morning, I went downstairs to grab some laundry and found a disaster. The basement was flooded. Water was everywhere, soaking boxes of Lily's old toys, my work files, and even some family photos I hadn't gotten around to digitizing. It was a mess. My heart sank. This was exactly the kind of thing insurance was for, I told myself. I'd call Safe Haven, file a claim, and they'd take care of it. I called the claims hotline that same morning. The automated system was a nightmare. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. Wait 10 minutes just to get to a human. When I finally got through, the representative, a woman named Karen, sounded bored. I explained the situation, and she asked for my policy number, the date of the incident, and a bunch of other details. She said someone would call me back to schedule an inspection. Don't worry, she said. We'll handle it. I felt a little better. Help was on the way. Days passed, and no one called. I tried to be patient, but the basement was starting to smell like mildew, and I was worried about mold. I called Safe Haven again. This time, I got a different representative, who told me my claim was in processing and that an adjuster would reach out soon. A week later, still nothing. By now, I was panicking. I borrowed a shop vac from a neighbor and started cleaning up what I could, but the damage was done. The water had ruined the drywall, and black spots were creeping up the walls. I couldn't afford to fix this on my own, and I needed Safe Haven to step up. Finally, after 2 weeks of back-and-forth calls, an adjuster named Tom showed up. He was polite but all business. He walked through the basement, took some photos, and jotted notes on a clipboard. Looks like a burst pipe, he said. Your policy should cover this, but I'll need to submit my report. You'll hear back in a few days. I asked if they could send someone to start repairs, but he said I had to wait for approval. I was frustrated, but I figured a few more days wouldn't hurt. A week later, I got a letter from Safe Haven. My claim was denied. I couldn't believe it. The letter said the damage was caused by gradual wear and tear on the pipes, which wasn't covered under my policy. Gradual wear and tear? The pipe burst overnight. I called Safe Haven furious, and spent an hour on hold before speaking to someone who sounded like they were reading from a script. They said the adjuster's report showed the pipe had been corroding for years, so it wasn't a sudden incident. I argued that I'd only owned the house for 2 years and had no way of knowing about the pipes. They didn't budge. "You can appeal," the representative said, but the process sounded like a maze of paperwork and waiting. I felt betrayed. I'd paid my premiums on time every month, believing Safe Haven would be there when I needed them. Instead, they were dodging responsibility, leaving me with a flooded basement and a growing repair bill I couldn't afford. I started researching online and found forums filled with people from the US, Canada, the UK, and Australia sharing similar stories. One guy in Toronto said his insurance company denied his claim for storm damage because the wind speed wasn't high enough to qualify. A woman in London posted about a fire claim that got rejected because she didn't have proof the fire started accidentally. It was like these companies were looking for any excuse to avoid paying out. I decided to appeal. I gathered every document I could, photos of the damage, receipts for the shop vac, even a report from a plumber I hired to confirm the pipe burst was sudden. The appeal process was exhausting. I had to fill out forms, write a detailed letter, and send everything by certified mail. Weeks went by with no response. Meanwhile, the basement was getting worse. I had to move Lily's play area to the living room because the mold smell was so bad. I was stressed, snapping at Lily for no reason, and losing sleep over the mounting costs. One night, I was scrolling through YouTube, looking for home repair tips, when I stumbled across a channel run by a guy in Sydney. He was a former insurance adjuster who now made videos exposing how insurance companies operate. He talked about how they train employees to find loopholes in policies, how they delay claims to frustrate customers into giving up, and how they bank on people not reading the fine print. I felt a mix of anger and validation. This wasn't just me. Safe Haven was playing a game, and I was losing. I reached out to the plumber again, a kind older man named Joe who'd been in the business for 30 years. He offered to write a letter for my appeal, stating that the pipe failure was indeed sudden and not due to neglect. I also contacted a consumer advocacy group one found online, which helped me draft a stronger appeal. They warned me that insurance companies often reject claims to save money, especially for smaller claims like mine, because most people don't fight back. But I wasn't giving up. This was my home, my daughter's home, and I'd paid for protection. After 3 months of emails, calls, and more paperwork, Safe Haven finally agreed to cover part of the claim. They sent a check for $4,000, which was half of what the repairs cost. The plumber's bill alone was $3,000, and replacing the drywall and flooring added another $5,000. I had to dip into my savings money I'd set aside for Lily's future to cover the rest. The whole ordeal left me exhausted and disillusioned. Safe Haven's promise of safety had turned into a battle, and I was the one paying the price. Looking back, I learned a hard lesson about home insurance. Those shiny ads and friendly agents are selling a product, not a guarantee. The fine print matters, and companies like Safe Haven are in the business of making money, not helping people. I started reading my policy more carefully and even switched to a different insurer, one with better reviews and clearer terms. I also joined a local homeowners group, where people share tips on dealing with insurance claims. It's comforting to know I'm not alone, but it's sad how common these stories are. If you're watching this on YouTube in the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, or anywhere else, let me tell you, don't just trust your insurance company. Read the policy, ask questions, and document everything. Take photos of your home now before anything happens. Keep receipts for repairs and maintenance. And if you ever have to file a claim, be ready to fight. It's not fair, but it's the reality. My home is still my sanctuary, but the stress of dealing with Safe Haven taught me that safety comes from being prepared, not from a piece of paper promising protection. Lily and I are doing okay now. The basement is fixed, though my wallet is lighter. We've started making new memories in our home, like baking cookies in the kitchen and planting flowers in the backyard. But every time I hear a strange noise in the house, my stomach twists a little. I'm not sure I'll ever fully trust an insurance company again. If my story helps even one person avoid the stress I went through, it's worth sharing. So, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your own insurance stories in the comments. Let's warn each other and build a community that's ready for whatever comes next.